Avengers Assemble. Hey guys, I'm Rebecca and welcome to Watch Mojo. Today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 Captain America moments in the MCU.
Language.
That means we're looking at Steve Rogers' defining moments throughout his tenure in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. But keep in mind, if you're not caught up yet, there will be some spoilers ahead. Or he does time travel, so does that mean they'll be behind? And whatever, it doesn't matter. Let's get to the list.
Wait a second. No one else is going to deal with the fact that Cap just said language?
Number 10, becoming Captain America. Captain America, the First Avenger. Captain America, the First Avenger is full of nifty special effects. Although the most impressive feat was shrinking the hunky Chris Evans down into the scrawny Steve Rogers.
We are going to win this war because we have the best men.
Despite his diminutive size and hesitation from his superiors, Rogers proves there isn't a more dedicated soldier in the US military.
Come on, there are men laying down their lives. I got no right to do any less than them.
Rogers is deemed a suitable candidate for the super soldier experiment, a procedure that's not without risks, since last time it created Red Skull. Even under these dangerous circumstances, Rogers makes a bathroom joke and insists on pressing forward when things look dire.
Stephen? Can you hear me?
Probably too late to go to the bathroom, right?
Although the experiment could have veered into Frankenstein territory, our hero triumphantly emerges from the chamber, taller, more muscular, and ready to fight for his country.
How'd you feel?
Taller.
Number 9, giving Sam his shield. Avengers Endgame. Having survived the final battle, it appeared Steve Rogers may be sticking around longer than we expected. If you paid close attention during the 1970 sequence, though, it was clear that Rogers had a retirement plan in mind.
Well, after I put the stones back, I thought maybe I'll try some of that life Tony was telling me to get.
Upon returning the Infinity Stones and Mjolnir, Rogers decided to remain in the past. When we see Rogers again in modern day, he's an old man who's lived a full life.
Only thing bumming me out is the fact I have to live in a world without Captain America.
Oh, well, that reminds me.
It's a bittersweet revelation that's only made more poignant as Rogers hands his shield to Sam Wilson. This move divided viewers as some wanted to see Bucky take up Cap's mantle. Rogers' choice is met with approval from Bucky, however, which seems to give Wilson the encouragement to accept, making this moment feel truly earned.
Thank you. I'll do my best.
Number 8, the Great Debaters. Captain America Civil War. Civil War blurs the lines between good and evil, challenging friendships and putting ethics to the test.
I don't mean to make things difficult. I know, because you're a very polite person.
The conflict revolves around the Sokovia Accords, which would give the United Nations control over the Avengers. Whereas Tony Stark feels the team needs to be kept in check, Steve Rogers believes this will only create more problems.
We may not be perfect, but the safest hands are still our own.
If we don't do this now, it's going to be done to us later.
Thus ensues a gripping conversation that leaves the audience genuinely torn between Team Iron Man and Team Cap.
Is that how you see this? This is protection? It's internment,
She's
Tony.
not a U.S. citizen, and they don't
come
grant
on,
visas to
Tony.
weapons of mass
She's
destruction.
a kid.
Give me a break!
We understand where both men are coming from, seeing as how Stark created Ultron and Rogers has been betrayed by his government in the past. While part of Steve is actually tempted to sign the Accords, he can't bring himself to ignore a situation that's heading south, no matter what it costs him.
Sometimes I want to punch you in your perfect teeth.
Number 7, I can do this all day. Captain America, the First Avenger. He may not be a super soldier yet, but Steve Rogers still won't back down in the face of peril. When a bully corners Rogers in an alley, he tries to defend himself with a trash can lid, alluding to the vibranium shield he will later receive. No matter how hard the bully pummels Rogers, he refuses to give up, leading to a line that sums up his unbreakable spirit.
You just don't know when to give up, do you?
I can do this all day.
Although Bucky Barnes rushes to his rescue, it isn't long until Rogers becomes the one who's constantly saving Bucky.
I thought you were dead.
I thought you were smaller.
Even at the mercy of the Red Skull, or later of his own teammate Iron Man, Rogers will take a beating all day without surrendering. Number 6, Cap vs. Cap, Avengers Endgame.
I have eyes on Loki, 14th floor. I'm not Loki.
Captain America's definitive line makes yet another appearance in Avengers Endgame, where Steve Rogers faces his most surreal foe yet, himself.
I can do this all day.
Yeah, I know.
Traveling back to 2012, Rogers comes face to face with his former self shortly after the battle for New York. 2012 Rogers jumps to the conclusion that his lookalike is Loki in disguise, as this isn't the first or last time the God of Mischief has impersonated Captain America.
Oh, this is much better. Whoa. Costume's a bit much. So tight. But the confidence, I can feel the righteousness surging.
This leads to a humorous misunderstanding that forces the two Caps to square off with each other. With the same weapons and moves, the doppelgangers are almost equally matched in combat. Fortunately, modern Cap has knowledge of the future on his side, using Bucky's whereabouts to distract 2012 Cap long enough to knock him out cold.
Bucky is alive!
Number 5. Cap versus the Winter Soldier. Captain America, the Winter Soldier. As mentioned in our previous entry, Bucky did indeed survive his great fall. Brainwashed into becoming the Winter Soldier, Bucky is now a hollow yet lethal shell of his former self.
Bucky?
Who the hell is Bucky?
Rogers still believes that his friend is in there, however, refusing to give up on Bucky.
You know me. No, I don't!
Nevertheless, Rogers is given no choice but to confront the Winter Soldier during a Hydra takedown. It's one of the most personal fights in the MCU, as Rogers eventually lays down his shield in order to reach his friend.
I'm not gonna fight you. You're my friend.
Although he may deny his attachment to Steve, the Winter Soldier resists delivering the killing blow. Bucky finally wakes up when Steve plummets to what looks like a watery grave, and a prosthetic arm reaches out to him. Number 4. Elevator Fight. Captain America, the Winter Soldier. The Winter Soldier possesses an overarching sense of dread that's best represented in this scene, where Cap finds himself surrounded by Hydra spies in an elevator. Steve might be vastly outnumbered, but that doesn't mean Hydra has the upper hand. Before any punches are thrown or any threats are made, Rogers offers his enemies a chance to back out.
Before we get started, does anyone want to get out?
Everyone unwisely declines his offer, resulting in a brilliantly choreographed brawl where Cap single-handedly takes down this fleet of sleeper agents.
It kind of feels personal.
The scene has a clever callback in Avengers Endgame when Rogers travels to 2012 and once again steps into an elevator slithering with spies. Steve is able to avoid a fight this time, however, by saying 2 words that had everyone in the audience cheering.
Hail Hydra.
Number 3. Cap's Sacrifice. Captain America, the First Avenger. Falling on a dummy grenade, Steve Rogers demonstrated early on that he would gladly sacrifice himself to save others without giving it a second thought.
Get away! Get back!
Rogers' bravery is put to the ultimate test as Red Skull's plane targets New York. To prevent the terrorist attack, Rogers makes the virtuous decision to crash the aircraft in the ocean.
I gotta put her in the water.
Please, don't do this. We have time. We can work it out.
Right now, I'm in the middle of nowhere. If I wait any longer, a lot of people are gonna die.
Although they both know how this will likely end, Peggy Carter attempts to comfort Steve in what could be their final moments together, setting a new date for their night out.
We'll have the band play something slow. I'd hate to step on your...
As Rogers is frozen for 70 years, it seems he's missed his window for a happy ending with Peggy.
I had a date.
Thanks to time travel, though, Peggy is able to teach Steve how to dance at long last. Number 2. Giving up the shield. Captain America, Civil War. Dying for the greater good is one thing, but the greater good isn't always easy to identify.
It's all about the greater good.
The greater good. How can this be for the greater good?
The tension that's divided the Avengers reaches its boiling point when Tony learns that Bucky killed his parents, albeit under mind control. The fact that Steve kept this from Tony only leaves him feeling more betrayed. To save one friend, Steve loses another in the process.
He's my friend. So was I.
While it might not be the most bombastic fight in the film, Captain America's duel against Iron Man is the most emotionally gripping. Once again asserting that he can do this all day, Cap bests Iron Man in battle. Regardless, there are no winners in Civil War, as Steve gives up the shield Tony's father made for him, no longer feeling worthy.
You don't deserve it. My father made that shield.
Honestly, I can't believe that the moment Steve Rogers becomes Captain America is only number 10. I mean, well, like I can because the other moments are that great, but that moment is just so iconic and effective. Or what about that one where he's single-handedly stopping the helicopter with like his bare hands? I think we can all agree the thirst is real and number 1 is pretty much inevitable, but before we get to our number 1 pick, let's check out these honorable and patriotic mentions.
Got the lightning. Light the bastards up. You and me, we stay here on the ground. We keep the fighting here. And Hulk. Smash. On your left.
On my left. Got it. Don't say it. Don't you say
On
it.
your left.
Come on!
The game. It's from May 1941. I know because I was there. Now I'm gonna ask you again. Where am I?
Sometimes patience is the key to victory. Sometimes it leads to very little, and it seems like it's not worth it. And you wonder why you waited so long for something so disappointing. How many more of these?
Not quite at the end yet. Almost there though. Just be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos. Alright, back to business. Number 1, Wielding Mjolnir, Avengers Endgame.
I knew it.
A few years after reaching his lowest point, Rogers proves that he's not only worthy of his shield, but also Thor's hammer. When Rogers managed to nudge Mjolnir in Age of Ultron, fans started to wonder if we might see him wield the hammer in battle.
Nothing.
Everything comes together in Endgame as Thanos has Thor down for the count. Once Mjolnir begins to levitate, we're led to think that it's returning to the God of Thunder. Instead, Mjolnir gravitates towards Rogers, who uses the weapon to knock Thanos down a peg. Steve Rogers was chosen to be Captain America for a reason, and this moment epitomizes why. Through his nobility, selflessness, and determination to do what's right, a star-spangled man possesses the power of Thor.
Avengers!
Assemble.
I have 2 words for you. America's ass. Ha. All right, well, on that note, what's your favorite Cap moment in the MCU? And how do you feel about Sam Wilson taking on the mantle of Cap now? Let us know in the comments. Be sure to like and subscribe and watch this other video. I could do this all day.